Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Phone Booth Productions.
Here's the thing.
Well, I get up around 7, get out of bed around 9. I don't worry about nothing, no, because worry's a waste of my time. Show usually starts around 7, we go on stage around 9. Get on the bus about 11, sipping a drink and feeling fine. Hello.
All right, welcome to the Here's the Thing podcast. I am super excited to talk to my guest today. There hasn't been too many guests on that I haven't known personally or had a history with. So it's going to be real fun to talk to Chad Smith from the band Hemlock. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Dude, I'm great, man. Thanks so much for being here today. It's really cool to finally get to talk to you.
I appreciate you reaching out. That's awesome.
Well, so, you've been on my radar since the mid 90s, man. I grew up in Las Vegas, and I
Okay.
believe, did you grow up in Las Vegas as well?
Vegas and Henderson.
Anderson? Okay.
Yeah,
Did you
we
go to
start. We actually originally are from Henderson, and then as you get older and you move around the valley, we wind up Vegas, and sometimes I'd even more recently even stay in Boulder City once in a while, but it just depends. But
did
yep,
you go to high school in Vegas?
Hendertucky.
Kentucky? So, you went to basic?
Of course, yeah,
Okay. All right. Yeah, well,
basic, of
I
course, yeah.
yep, I graduated from Green Valley. So,
Really?
yeah,
Small
90
world, that's
98.
awesome.
Yeah. So we did actually meet one time, and I don't obviously expect you to remember this, but it's always been in the back of my mind. Every time I hear Hemlock, I always think of this. There was, if you remember, off of Sunset, there was a warehouse music store. You remember that
Okay.
over by
Yeah, yeah, up there
like
on
now they're
top of the hill, up there by
yeah.
Barley's or whatever that place is
Yeah,
called.
Barley's, that's right. I was trying to remember the name of it. I remember there used to be like an alligator restaurant there or something.
Yeah,
Alligators, I think
exactly.
maybe they call it.
And a
But
Smith's Food King across the
yeah,
street, and now it's not Smith's Food King anymore, it's only Smith's. They dropped the Food King for some reason.
huh. So at that warehouse, and this had to be like, I want to say maybe around 2000, maybe 2001, somewhere
Okay.
around there. I was in there looking through the used CD section and looking for a Violence CD, the band Violence.
Yeah.
Um, and my friend of mine was a big fan of theirs, so I was looking for it for him. And I don't know how we got in conversation, and I said to you that that's what I was looking for. And then like 5, 10 minutes later, you come up to me and handed me a Violent CD and go, "Here you go, dude." And I just
Ah,
thought that was so cool. I was like, "Holy shit, this dude just went out of his way and helped me
yeah,
find something," in the used
awesome.
section. It wasn't even like it was under the letter V or anything.
'Cause why Violence, isn't that Rob Flynn and Phil Dimmel's old band back in the day?
You know what? I couldn't tell you
I
the
think
the
so,
members, but
yeah.
I know they're like a Bay Area like thrash type band.
Yeah, totally, that's the Bay Area thrash. We know a couple of the dudes, and, I think they took a hiatus for a while, and they're back on tour again, but that's funny that warehouse we used to sell our Hemlock CDs in in those stores, so and then I remember one time they had a great deal on, used CDs there because I remember one time I went and I got, like, 20 different metal CDs and stuff, and I think they were only like $2 a piece or something. I don't remember, maybe $5 a piece, but I wound up getting the original Snot CD and some old
Oh, wow.
Soulfly, Sepultura CDs, an old Biohazard CD. But I
Yeah.
forgot about Warehouse Records. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think any of them are open anymore. There's
No.
no Sam Goody's, no Warehouse, no. There might be a Tower Records out there somewhere, but I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't even think the famous one in LA is still around, I don't think.
No, it's done for. Like, we drove by there actually this last summer, and I was like, "Oh, man."
But they do have Amoeba Records, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
You
Amoeba
know?
Records is off the hook. There's not very many record stores around anymore, but, the ones that are, they go for more of the quality instead of the quantity, so it is cool when you could find one like Amoeba or something like that, where they've just got a lot of harder to find stuff or just unique things,
Yeah,
and
yeah. But yeah, so that was the one time that we met,
well,
and,
awesome,
I'm
25 years ago, yeah.
yeah, dude. I'm so sorry to say I've never been to a Hemlock show, which is very surprising because
Yet.
yet, there you go.
Alright, I just
There you go. I like it.
No,
Um,
right on, it's all good.
oh man, I lost my train of thought. Because I remember in the mid '90s, you guys were like the original guerrilla marketing team for your
Yes,
band.
yeah, still
I
do, but yeah.
I remember I would see just the most basicest, like, cardboard box sign with it spray painted on their Hemlock, and then it would have, like, the date of the show or whatever, and
The
they would be all over the valley, man.
That was us. We're, drink a lot of caffeine and go out and promote like crazy, and it's funny because those actually are those signs that say, like, "Reelect Bob for mayor," or whatever, you know?
That's
And
funny.
my dad's friend used to do that for work, and I was over there helping him clean up some stuff years and years ago, and I just saw this pile of those signs, and I was like had mud on them and everything, and they were from, like, 2 years prior, and I asked him, I was like, "Oh, man, can I have those?" And they just so I flipped them over, we painted the "Reelect Bob for mayor," or whatever it said, and I would cut a stencil, and we actually used to have paint parties, like, in my mom's backyard back in the house that we grew up with where the rehearsal studio was at in the garage and everything over in Henderson on Myers, and, I would cut out a stencil because I could paint, but all the other guys, they're not as artistically inclined, so I would get, like, a kitchen knife and cut out this stencil that would say the date, Hemlock, and the location, and we'd make it as simple as possible so when you're driving past on the freeway, you could read it real quick and easy. So
Yeah.
then we'd have like 20 of us in the backyard just spray painting these stencils, and we had this whole system, and then we had these routes lined out, and we would only do 2 shows a year in Vegas, but man, by the time when we were doing all that promo and we had like 20 of us going out and doing all that, we would put at least 60 of those signs around the valley,
Yeah.
and then we'd even do up to 100 of them, and it's crazy because by the time we got them for free and we had to figure out, like, the spray paint or whatever and the different stuff, the gas money to go put them up, we're like, "They're only like $3 a sign or $4 a sign," but they make huge exposure for people to like see them all over the valley. So then the Las Vegas Weekly actually did an interview and an article about Hemlock being the kings of promotion, where it's like, ballers on a budget because we didn't have the money to buy the big billboards on the side of the freeway and all that. So we said, screw it, we'll just go old school and do our own. They're almost kind of like yard sale signs, but the fact that they were vinyl, they were weatherproof that way too.
Okay.
So they,
Yeah, I remember seeing them all the time, you'd always see them. And back then, it was a smaller town. It's not as
yeah,
crazy as it is now, so they
yeah,
stood out.
yeah. Well, and because they also aren't professionally done, that also helps them
Right,
stand out.
right. So where now your brother's in the band too, right? Is
Yeah,
that
he's the original drummer. Me and him started the band in Henderson with our old friend Richard at Basic High School. Actually, was like where we
wow.
did our senior assemblies and stuff like that. And Brian actually had to quit in the middle for about 9 years or 8.5
And
years,
that's
something
your
like that.
brother, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
sorry, I didn't say yeah. And so I wound up getting a couple different drummers to fill in that gap, and I kept it going throughout. But then Brian and Richard came back in '09, I believe, and we did like a full reunion of all original members. It was cool. Mike was back, for a little bit. And then the more we tour and people have responsibilities, and as you get older, you can't just up and go for 3 months at a
Sure.
time. So it didn't. the original lineup, those guys had more responsibilities and stuff, but Brian stayed on board. So me and Brian are the two original guys that are left in the band. And then we have we have a guitar player that's been in the band now. His name's Jared. He's been in for about 4 years, and he's from Des Moines, Iowa. And then our other guitar player, Jesse, is back, and he joined in 2010, I believe, and was in till like 17. So he was in for 7 years. But and then now he's back as well. And then we have some of our old guitar players actually fill in. Actually, on our last tour, it was crazy because Jesse couldn't cover the entire tour. So I got a hold of our friend Brandon that used to play guitar in 04, 05, 06. And I just was like, and he actually is from Iowa originally, moved to Vegas. That's when we met him, was when he was in Vegas, and now he lives in Florida. And I was like, if we ever need anybody to fill in, are you down? He's like, yeah. So he actually filled in on this last tour, and we had not done a show together in 19 years. So it's crazy after you do it for this long, of all these years and people and stories and adventures and ups and downs and more ups and just laughing the whole time and having a good time. So it's
Was
32 years of Hemlock.
at one point did you have Brian Jackson in your band?
For a short stint. It was
Short
right
stint,
after,
okay.
yeah. Right after the pandemic, we were trying to get somebody to fill in and cover some stuff, and he did one tour, but it didn't pan out right. The more he's got kids and responsibilities at home and all that, but
I don't want to bring up a bad subject, but I don't know if you've heard what's going on with his kid right now.
yeah, I heard about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's too bad. I guess I'm a friend of Brian's. I kind of butt heads with him a lot. But he was in my roommate's old band called Creep. If you ever heard of
Oh
them,
yeah. I remember Creep. I remember back in the day. We might have even done a show or two way back in the day, but I definitely remember the name.
I had Brett, the singer. I had him on the podcast
Sweet.
a month or two ago. Yeah, he was my roommate for a few years there in
No way.
Vegas.
I haven't seen him in years. If you see him before I do, tell him hello from Hemlock.
I will. I will. He's out in Florida now, and
Okay.
he goes out with Tesla. He's Brian Wheat's tech, so he
Oh,
goes out with
rad.
Tesla.
So
Yeah,
he's still out on the road, but actually figured out a way how to make money doing it.
yeah. Well, he was with Skid Row for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, he was Snake's tech for a long
So
time.
that's awesome. Funny
That's
enough, is Skid Row was our very first concert that my dad took us
really.
to at the Thomas and Mack in Vegas. I was in 6th grade, and my dad took me and my brother Brian to go see Skid Row opening for Bon Jovi.
Oh
So that was the
wow.
very first taste on live music, and we were sold. I mean, Sebastian came out and he was on fire, and they were new to the scene, so
Sure.
they had they had something to prove, because it was on that Bon Jovi New Jersey tour and at the Thomas and Mack. And I just remember sitting there in that huge arena just being like, man, this is awesome. Then, of course, over the years, the Hundredth was like the main stopping ground, the theater. And we saw hundreds of shows at the Hundredth Theater.
They're
And
gonna
at the
reopen
Thomas
it.
I heard that they're going to reopen it, that some old punk rock guy that used to play a bunch of shows bought it. But I
Um,
saw I
I
saw
don't.
the diagram for it, and it looks like they put, like, really nice, like, seats in there, almost like a lounge, like, something you would see on, I can't think of his name right now for some reason, like a Dean Martin or a Frank
Okay.
Sinatra kind of vibe. Like, it looks too nice to be like a metal theater.
Right. Right.
It'll be
Um,
rad to have it open again. I'll definitely go check stuff out, but I don't know if they'll welcome Hemlock back in there with the Wall of Death and the mosh pits and all that.
well, I don't know who the punk rock guy is that you're talking about, but I know Jay Dapper bought it, and he's like a real estate guy.
Oh, okay.
Um, and now this punk rock guy could be a partner of his or something. I'm not sure, but I know Jay bought it, and then Brandon Powers is another guy involved with it. He's like their, I don't know, creative design guy.
I
I'm
got
not
you.
sure. I used to co-manage a band with him called the Deadly Seven about 15, 17 years ago, something like that.
Cool.
And yeah, he's a really cool guy. Have you ever heard of the Golden Tiki Bar? In
Yeah, that place is awesome.
in kind
Yeah.
so that's his creation, his baby. He's
Oh, man, if
unfortunately,
he makes it all plush and cool like that, that's gonna be epic.
yeah, he
I love
unfortunately.
the Huntridge Theater. We have so many good memories because we saw Pantera on the Vulgar
Oh
Display of
yeah.
Power tour there, and we saw
Yeah.
Sepultura on the Chaos AD tour there,
That's my
And
favorite album of theirs. Oh,
oh, yeah, of course, and then we saw Biohazard back in the day, and we saw Propane, which actually we're touring with again coming up in a couple weeks over in Europe, but Propane with Green Jelly, all these bands that we saw, and
Green
I remember that
Jelly. Wow.
Pantera and Sepultura one, it was the same summer or right around the same time frame, and I just remember thinking like, "Man, this is so amazing." We were already doing Hemlock, but it just was like just another reminder of why we do it, just because it was so awesome seeing them when they were all young like that and they had something to prove and they were on fire. Oh yeah, we saw Korn open up for
Wow.
a band named Marilyn Manson that was brand new, which was
Was that the
opening
s
up
was
for
that the Spooky Kids era? Like, when he was Marilyn Manson and the Spooky
it was
Kids?
right after that, but it was on
Okay.
the first album, and they were both opening up for Danzig. It was Danzig's headline
Wow.
tour, and I love Danzig, so it was crazy because these 2 new bands named Korn and Marilyn Manson, and that was at the Hunter's. That was awesome.
I bet.
So,
Wow.
hopefully they do shows in there again. I would love to have or let us at least play in the parking lot so we could say Hemlock. I'll get the old signs back, and we'll put Hemlock at the Huntridge, and we'll play in the parking lots.
Do you remember, behind the Huntridge, there was a place, I think it was called The
Yeah, the Sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
okay.
rocked there a bunch. We did a
Okay.
show there on a Monday night for some record label people, so we did it as a free show just as a thank you to the fans and to try and get as many people as we could, and all the windows got busted out and the bathroom door stalls got ripped off because we had too
Oh,
many
man.
people and it was packed to the brim. It was
Damn.
awesome. It was
I
awesome.
I saw, as gay as this is, I saw Nickelback there.
At the Sanctuary?
Sanctuary. Yeah.
Really? I saw
Yeah.
Disturbed in there. I mean, it's just and Machine Head even played in there one time, but, that's oh, yeah, we
Wow.
played with Machine Head and System of a Down and Snot at the Huntridge. That was back years and I
Wow.
have the flyer. It was $8 to get in.
So, where was your guys' first show in Vegas?
Other than at the high school, like, we played at the high school assembly and, talent show and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but our first, like, real shows would have been, like, where you charge a ticket to get in and everything would have been at the Elks Lodge right down the street in Henderson.
Okay. Is
We
that,
used
like,
to rent
off
it
of Water Street or something maybe?
down further down over by, down by CT Sewell Elementary School, like, right across the street, on what is that? Warm Springs and Lake Mead. So
Okay.
only a couple miles, further down past, Boulder Highway and keep going down closer to the lake. Not to the lake, but on the way to the lake.
Sure. So why'd you leave Vegas?
Uh, well, first started out because I had the itch to travel the world and tour, so we were always gone anyways. We were always touring. There was times where we'd be gone for 8 months at a time, and I'm like,
Oh,
"Man, we're just paying for this apartment or this" anybody in the band, they're renting a room or a house or an apartment, and I'm like, "We're just paying for expensive storage units." I'm like, "This
yeah.
is crazy because 'cause we're never home."
Right.
So, it was just expensive. I mean, there's a whole 'nother side thing. I drink a lot of caffeine and I ramble, I'm sorry. So
Oh,
if I
you're
get
good, man.
too distracted, but
It's better than having someone on that doesn't talk.
Vegas is crazy because it's the entertainment capital of the world,
Mhm.
and I love it. I love Vegas. It's my favorite city in the world. But for entertainment capital of the world means cover band. It does not mean original music. So if you play covers, you can make a good living
Yep.
and you can get an in-house thing at a casino. You can get paid 3 or 4 grand a show. But when you're playing original music and you're new and you're coming up, I mean, we were lucky if we'd get 2 or 300 bucks playing
Sure.
original shows. I mean, and of course when you're under 21, you can't play the casinos or whatever. But when we were kids, we were scraping and just scrambling trying to figure out where to play. Then as we got older, we started playing at the Huntridge a bunch and headlining and playing the House of Blues. But even still, then you're lucky if you make 1,000 or 2,000 bucks.
Yeah.
And if you're only doing 2 shows a year, you can't live off of that. I mean, there's other things back in the day when record stores were open and all that or whatever, but it just was expensive for what we were trying to do because we were trying to spread out and go around the world. And we didn't have a rich uncle or we didn't have a financial backer or a record label or anybody helping us. So we were on tour and always on tour, still almost all the time. So my wife was just looking online. We were up in Casper, Wyoming. And every time we'd come back, we'd have to figure out where we were going to stay for the next 2 months before the next tour. And you can't sign a lease because you're going to be gone and this and that.
Right.
It was just a pain. So she looked up anywhere in the United States under 60 grand. And it was between Oklahoma, Michigan, or Iowa. So we moved to Iowa 20 years ago
Oh, wow.
because we bought a house for a tenth of the price. It put us right in the center of the United States. And then that way we could build up the Midwest a lot more because we had already played in Vegas and Phoenix and Flagstaff and LA and San Francisco and Reno. We had already done the West quite a bit. And not that we were not going to come back, but this way, now that we were out in Iowa, we could build up Des Moines, Kansas City, St. Louis, Omaha, and then keep branching out up into Minneapolis and then down into Springfield, Missouri, only 8 hours from Texas. Because when you're in Vegas, everything is 8 hours away of a desert in between, except for LA.
Yeah.
But you go north, you got 6, 7 hours to Reno or 8 hours to Reno, depending on if you're in an old bus or in a fast car. But
Right.
Salt Lake, everywhere, every which direction you go, nothing is close. Then when we went out on tour with Slayer and Hatebreed out to the East Coast in 03, I'm like, man, we're playing in like Connecticut and New York City is only like 2 hours away or whatever it was, 3 hours away. Now, if you go in the middle of rush hour traffic, it'll take you 9 hours.
Sure.
But if you drive through the night, you can actually get to these places and you're not spending $400 between each show just in fuel. You can actually get to these places. I'm like, it's crazy how spread out the West Coast is versus the
Yeah.
East Coast. So we just started traveling more, and we honestly moved so we could afford to keep doing Hemlock, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And it's crazy because people are like, why the hell would you move from Vegas to Iowa? And we're like, because we didn't want to sink in financial ruin and debt trying to go on tour. So now, for the last 12 years of my life or whatever it's been, I have not had it's been longer than that because we moved out here 20 years ago. We had our house paid off in like 4 years. So I haven't had a house payment in 16 years.
That's
And
nice.
then that way we can afford to travel the world and do these crazy things and, go out and act like kids and still headbanging and, going in an old school bus. I tell everybody, I'm like, we're like modern day hippies without all the weed and all the drugs. And we actually shower a bunch, but basically we roll around in an old motorhome playing music for people. And we try to bring positive, happy, fun vibes and, positive lyrics to make people feel part of something instead of just going and say, I'm gonna rip your face off and you're playing this metal stuff, that Hemlock always brings a different vibe. And we always try to make everybody feel like, they might work all month long and it might be their only night out. So we want to make sure that we actually give them something to enjoy and that they can smile and have a good time out. So we definitely do it for the fans and appreciate it and still are the ones that are willing to do the grind and all the work. And we're 32 years into it and I still love doing it every day.
It's awesome. So I ask every musician that comes on, I ask them all, have you ever shit on a tour bus?
Yeah.
There we go. An honest man. I like it.
Yeah. But not ours because I was smart enough because the big tour buses, especially over in Europe, when we were over there, the first 3 tours, we did a bus share with the band Propane. And the first 2 tours were with Propane, and the third tour was with a band named Ectomorph, and we did bus shares. And they have double-decker buses, not like the England ones where it's not those ones. It's like the Prevost, like the big tour buses.
Okay.
And it has the driver, and then he's got like a little sleep area under the stairs, like a bed. And then there's a whole lounge area with a kitchen and a bathroom, like a full-on working bathroom. And you go up this little skinny staircase, and up top is 24 bunk beds. So all the
Holy
bands
shit.
share this big double-decker tour bus, and it's amazing. It's like this tank that just rolls down, so you all work together. Europe is awesome how they have it set up for touring because you all roll up to the venue at the same time. The venue has a full lunch spread out for everybody, and then you all do the gear together. Of course, sometimes there's people that are lazy, but you're supposed to, in theory, all work together. You do the gear, you share a lot of the back line, you play, it was awesome because we got to play for Propane's fans, and we had never been to Europe before, so it gave us this opportunity, almost like boot camp for Europe. And now we've become really good friends with them, and we're actually heading back over. We leave again in 2 weeks to go back over to Germany. We got another tour coming up, and we're not doing a full tour with Propane, but we're catching 3 shows with them. And then we have a co-headliner that we're doing on the thing called Winter Invasion Festival with Belfagor. I don't know if you're familiar with Belfagor.
No.
Super extreme, like just dark black metal, death metal, satanic metal. I don't even know what you call them. And they're awesome. but they're super extreme. And then ours is more like lighthearted, heavy, fun, hardcore, positivity, but the festivals over there and the shows over in Europe, they'll put somebody like Scorpions on there with Slaughter to Prevail on the same festival
Yeah.
lineup. And I think
Yeah.
it's cool because why not? Why not have Skid Row and Metallica and then Hatebreed, Why not? I mean, we like all kinds of music. I always
Sure.
loved Faith No More, where they had punk, thrash, hip hop, metal all in one, and I just think it's cool to have the open-mindedness for the festivals over there and all that. But so back to the bus story. I learned the hard way from the buses in Europe that when you get other band dudes drinking and trying to piss and trying to do all this while the bus is going and they're
Sure.
drunk and they're standing in the bathroom. So, and then piss is all over the seat and all over the carpet on the floor. So if you walked into the bathroom in socks in the middle of the night, your socks would get soggy from
Oof.
piss. It was bad. So I was like, when we got an old school bus and I was like, I'm not putting a bathroom in this thing because then I'm gonna have to be the one to clean it up because I know everybody else is gonna be pissing and smelling and just I'm gonna have to dump the shitter out. And I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna be that guy. So, and also when you park the bus during the winter in Iowa, you have to winterize it like crazy because if there's even
Mm.
a little bit of water in the line, it'll break the lines or whatever. So we just said, I'm gonna build this tour bus into a tank and we're not gonna have a sink, we're not gonna have bathroom, anything. It's just gonna be benches, beds, and storage. So it's not a luxury one like the one in Europe, but over there you had the bus driver that had to clean up all the mess. I don't want to be a janitor at the
Right.
same time.
So something I seen not too long ago really looked like fun. I think you and your wife did like a tour of Florida. You guys went all
Oh,
around. How was that, man? And what
life
made
is
you
a
do that?
tour.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I got the travel bug for sure, and I still love it, going anywhere and everywhere from Roswell, New Mexico to Budapest, Hungary to Tokyo, Japan to ne Boulder City, Nevada, anywhere in between, I mean, I love all the different places I like to go and see. So in June, my wife's birthday is in June, and I told her, I said, we don't want to celebrate your birthday. We want to celebrate your birth month. Let's go on an epic road trip. And we've done it a few times before, but usually we're on tour in the summer. So this time we weren't on tour. So she calls it Jill Fest. And I mean, we call it Jill Fest. And so we started at our house in Iowa and we drove down to Arkansas and we just take our Yukon and we just go. We kind of have like a loose plan and we go and we make it up as we go. But I got to back up. A couple of years back, we did the same thing where we were like, let's go to Florida and just cruise and hug the entire coast and go all the way down to Key West and back up. Because in the tour bus, you can't go to all these places as easy because sometimes the roads might be tight or
right.
windy or it's way out of the way and you got to get to a show. And we had never been to Key West. So I thought it'd be fun. In our adventures of doing that a few years ago, all the way down to Key West, Florida is amazing. I always loved Florida. But Destin, Florida was the best beach out of all the beaches in Florida. I don't know how
Really?
familiar you are with.
Well, that and the reason I brought it up is because I would love to move to Florida.
Yeah,
I used to spend all my summers in St. Augustine Beach.
we
You know,
were we went to St. Augustine too, right there by that. What's that? Ferdinand Beach. It's just north of
Ferdinand Beach.
it's just north of St. Augustine. But yeah, St. Augustine. We went on that little like haunted walk trail there. It's a
Okay.
beautiful area. Ponce de
Yeah.
Leon with the Fountain of Youth and all that.
Yeah. So
So
you did St. George Street, I think
yeah,
is what
yeah,
it's
yeah,
called. Yeah.
exactly. St. George Street. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
beautiful there. And the other place I've been looking at is Melbourne. I heard
Melbourne's
Melbourne
rad. Yeah,
is
yeah.
pretty cool and it's affordable and the beach.
I
You know,
really like Cocoa Beach, which is right down there near there, I think, too. But the Gulf side, there's something about Destin that was a little bit magic. I mean, if you want the Atlantic, of course, the side that you're talking about, because that side's really epic and beautiful, Cocoa Beach, and then all that down even into Miami. Miami Beach was amazing, But when we were coming around up in Destin and Pensacola, the water gets shallower just east of Pensacola, and then you get to Destin. So the water gets warmer because it's shallower. And then
sure.
somebody told us that the beach sand doesn't get hot because it's microscopic particles of broken shells, so it stays cool. So, like, when you're in Huntington Beach, there's times where you can't walk on that sand. You have to have flip-flops on because it's so hot. But this beach is like cool sand, warm water, crystal clear. It reminded me of, something super tropical, like down in the Caribbean, like in Negril, Jamaica or something, and I was like,
Right.
so my wife's destination was to go to Destin, Florida for her birthday, but I wanted to turn it into a 24-day road trip, epic road trip. So we went from there down to Dallas, Texas. And then from there, because it was going to be raining in Destin, we had to do a little detour. So we went to Galveston, Texas, which was amazing. We were there at the beach and had some awesome Mexican dinner. And then from there, we went to New Orleans for 2 days. New Orleans is one of my favorite cities, too. Have you ever been to New Orleans?
Never.
It's out of control. It's so crazy.
I
I
heard I
love
heard
it.
it's a little bit like Vegas, but,
It's
with more
yeah, yeah, yeah.
debauchery or something, you know?
It is. It's like a dirty older version, but I love it. It's so crazy. And I mean, I could go on for hours about New Orleans too. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
love it. It's so dark and so beautiful at the same time, and it smells so bad, but it looks so awesome, and it's so magical, and just everything about it. Even the air is thick in New Orleans, and the art and the music and just everything. I love it. The architecture, the cemeteries. It seems like a whole nother world. It's definitely
yeah.
feels like you're not in the United States when you're in like the heart of downtown of New Orleans, but and
Wow.
then when we went to France, when we went to the Père Lachaise cemetery, it's the French cemetery, and that New Orleans has the French Quarter. I started putting it all together. I'm like, oh, this is all the French architecture and all the old creepy wrought iron cemetery. And I'm like, this is
Yeah,
totally where Walt Disney got all of his artist guys back in the day to go there and to sketch drawings for the Haunted Mansion was either in New Orleans and Père Lachaise over in Paris. I mean, I like the artistic part of all of it and everything. So from New Orleans we went to Destin. We spent a day there, but then it was going to be pouring rain. So then we went through Orlando, we went to Daytona, which Daytona is an awesome beach too.
yeah.
And then from there we cut back. Oh, we went to one of the swimming holes, the Royal Springs, I think it's called, where you jump off like the platform and it's just spring fed cool water.
Hmm.
And then we came back through and we went to Destin for 2.5 more days. And we went to Seville Quarter in Pensacola. And then from there, we drove north up to Ruby Ridge and Ruby Falls up there in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's crazy because I see these things on these travel channels and like in National Geographic and stuff. And I'm like, we've been a lot of places. I,
Yeah,
I
I
like to joke
imagine
that we're
32
like,
years on the road, I bet.
I like to joke that we're like Johnny Cash, that we've been everywhere, man. But if I see somewhere that we haven't been yet, I'm like, oh, cool, we got to add this in. So this is part of also why I saw this clip of this huge waterfall inside of a cave system that was like with the stalactites and the stalagmites and everything, and you go into this room and there's like this huge, like 100-foot waterfall coming in, and it's all beautiful and
Wow.
epic with lights. So, and that's in Chattanooga. So we tied that into the tail end and we went on some hikes and went up, saw a bunch of Civil War history, and then went to the Ruby Falls, which was beautiful, amazing inside. Then from there, we went to Nashville for a couple days and we went to the John Bon Jovi bar.
John Bon Jovi has a bar there?
Yeah, right by the Kid
Huh.
Rock bar, and there's also one. It was cool. It was fun because they had all kinds of old school Bon Jovi memorabilia, and I've been on the stairway going up to the restroom. It said, "You're halfway there," stuff like that. I was laughing.
Dude, there's a venue in Tennessee, I wanna say it's called The Cavern or The Caverns or something like that, and it's just, like, in a legit cavern, and they have shows there.
I
I'm like,
saw something about that online. The cave. I think it might be
"Is it
just
called The
called the
Cave?"
cave or the caverns. I don't know. We should book us there. We'll book
Yeah,
Hemlock there, and that'll be your first Hemlock show ever. Come out and come see us.
I can dig it. Um, so, I wanna talk a little bit about AI in music, and I want your opinion on things. When I was talking to Brett from Creep, and he was also in the band Bile, if you remember
Oh yeah,
them,
yeah. I remember
and
Bile. Yeah,
you mentioned Green Jelly. He was in that band briefly too.
I saw Bile at the sanctuary actually.
Oh wow, wow. But he was really kind of discouraged when I talked to him, and he was just like, "Man, AI is just taking over. How can you compete?" with AI, it just sounds so legit and real.
Yeah, I'm old school, and I think it takes out the soul of all of it. But you can't fight it. It's the same thing like with
Yeah.
emails. I mean, the technology is basically ruining all of the fun things from the past, but then it also is introducing us to so much newer things too. Like right now, we wouldn't be able to do this interview like this if it wasn't
Sure.
for technology. But streaming services have definitely ruined record stores that we just talked about because
Yeah.
nobody goes and buys records anymore, which also makes it harder for bands to stay alive. So that's why you have to move to places like Iowa. Like
Yeah.
it's all, you just have to adapt. I mean, if you don't, you're just going to get frustrated. And I used to get really, really like upset about, I guess I shouldn't say really upset because I don't get upset about anything. I always take pride on being the happy, over optimistic person that everybody, I try to go out of my way to always be happy. But I used to get frustrated with the record industry and how many times that Hemlock has gotten shafted or passed on or whatever. And I got to a point where I was like, it's kind of sucking the fun out of it to where I'm focusing and I'm like fixating on the record industry part of this. I don't care about sound scans. I don't care about streaming numbers. I don't care about how many fans online we have. I care about the connection with people that we meet in person, like at Warehouse Records. I got
Yeah.
to talk to you. It was real. It was an experience. And there's people out there in the world where there's probably, I would guess, 500 or 600 people out there over all these years that have gotten Hemlock tattoos. That's not just a
Wow.
fan. That's not a fan. That's a diehard for
Yeah.
life. They Hemlock in their. And I'm like, this is so crazy and awesome. And then when you're able to go places and do things that you weren't able to do if it wasn't for the music, I look at that as that's the gold because of course it'd be nice to have more money and not have to move from Vegas or whatever or what, but money is money and it's whatever and it's the root of all evil. We do Hemlock because we love to do it and we just adapt with the times. Yes, I think that AI is going to ruin a lot of things, a lot of cool aspects with art, with it's going to ruin a lot of people's jobs, but then even things like there was people back in the day that used to make livings off of paper routes. People don't really buy newspapers anymore. They get
Sure.
all their news on their phone. And then it's also another crazy whole story about how the media just always lies anyway. So why buy a newspaper
Right.
anyways? So I mean there's so many pros and cons to both ways that there is a part of AI that is really cool and useful. And I like that concept of it. But what's going to happen is there's always people that get too greedy and too evil with anything. And it's going to wind up getting used for the wrong, where they can put somebody's face and voice and, do it's just insane how advanced it is. It's pretty creepy and pretty scary
Well,
at the same time.
check this out. I want to play a short little video for you. I made this using AI just a few days ago, and I didn't give it any prompts other than make me a music video.
Okay.
Okay, so check this out. Let me blow it up full screen.
Yeah. Started on the strip where the dice roll hot. Desert in my veins, but I'm reppin' that sea life. Fedora tilted back, sunglasses on tight. Poo-tang in the building, yeah, we doing it right. Podcast every Tuesday, 6 p.m. we live. Phone booth productions got the realest to give. From Vegas to the Shy, I'm a double threat. Now one influencer place on the street to the Shy.
That's awesome.
Vegas born, but the biz never
Right?
died. From the strip to the Shy. Put my cities on the map, watch me fly from the strip to the Shy. From the strip to the Shy. Yeah, yeah. From the strip to the shop to the shop. Snoop Vaughn ain't no stopping the wave. Have been enthusiast, that's the.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane. It is. I don't know. I'm old school, and I come from the artistic aspect of it all, so I understand. Your friend's frustration with it because it's gonna wind up making it harder and harder for people to do it as a living. But there's no soul and no
Organic. There's
yeah,
no.
yeah. But then you also have to look at it from this way. I always like to question everything. Then you also have to look at somebody. I saw the post online or whatever where it was like Taylor or it was Beyonce versus Billie Eilish or whatever. And Billie Eilish and her brother wrote those songs, and Beyonce had 15 writers behind her song. So what's the difference between 15 writers behind a song versus AI behind a song? To me, that's kind of the same thing, even though you are using some humans and you're still paying them to do the song for you. And Beyonce's the pretty face. I mean, she might have written a bunch of her old songs. I don't know for sure. I'm not talking bad
Probably
about her
not.
specifically. I'm just using it as an example to where you have 15 people write a song for you, or somebody also that plays a cover song. Here we are back to cover songs. And for me, I'm like, you don't paint the Mona Lisa painting and change 3 things on it and say that you created it. Like
Right.
you don't do that. As an artist, you have to come up with something new and creative, and you have to just use your own skill set and your own mind and your own heart and your soul, and you dump it into it. So this goes back to so many bands. This is my own theory as well too. So many bands that come out
Oop.
and they're so good, and then they wind up making so much money. They wind up getting record labels, they wind up getting managers, they wind up getting all these other people behind them, to where it kind of disassociates them, and then they're not as good of a band anymore. And this is so many bands, to where you're like, the first 2 albums were fire, but then the third one, and then the fourth one was kind of disconnected. And I think that you get this disconnect. There's a part of me that's kind of cynical and funny about it, to where I'm like, well, Hemlock's never had the huge success, so we're as real as they come. We bring it from the heart every single night, whether we're playing for 50 people or whether we're playing for 5,000 people. We deliver the same show, because I've seen it where bigger bands go. Maybe it's a Tuesday night. Maybe the promoter didn't promote as good and there's only 80 people there. So they go on stage and they pout a little bit. They don't give the effort to the people that are there, and they cut their set list in half and they just leave, and it was for a paycheck. And I'm like, that's the difference, is you're doing it for the money instead of doing it for the love of it. And this goes back to the AI, is to where it's not doing it for the love. It's just, so I think that the fans, if you really are doing it for the right reasons, I think that the fans and the friends will see through it, and they will know what's real and what's not, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. It's so good that, it's getting hard to tell, if it's AI
Yeah.
or not. But I
Yeah.
mean, just a simple command for that AI program, just make me a music video, and it came up with all that. It threw the
It's
poo, I got the Poo-Tang Clan
Yeah.
representing,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
threw
exactly.
that in there. It knew my podcast is Tuesdays at 6. Like, Phone Booth Productions is the production team I work with.
So it's also
Like,
crazy if you only gave it that one command to how much
right.
it knew about you too. That's kinda creepy, but it
Yeah.
also was an epic video. It was catchy. It
Yeah,
was
and
catchy.
and that's just the free version, I mean, if you get the paid version, I'm sure it's even way more intricate. I heard the other day Elon Musk said that by the end of this year, using Grok, which is X's AI, if you use Grok, you'll be able to make a full-length movie and it'll be watchable. He said by 2027, I think he said, it'll be just incredible.
So I guess there's a part of creativity to where you have to come up with the original idea. It's just taking everything else out of the equation. I mean, I don't know. I like it, but it's also evil, so I kinda don't like it. So I'm kinda in the middle on it. But I'm
Yeah.
old school, and because I also design all of our T-shirts, and I design all of our album artwork and just everything. I look at art all the way around. So we even wrote a song called, or I wrote the lyrics, but Scam Artist, and it's talking about how the artists are always the last ones to get paid. They get the last little leftovers, because there's times where I've seen bands go on tour and their roadies and their techs make more money than the band members, because it just, they have a salary, but the band members get what's left over or
Right.
whatever. And I'm like, that shouldn't. I mean, everybody needs to get paid, but that also goes back to why, if you go to a Hemlock show, and you'll see us soon, yeah, that we set up our own gear. We go out on stage. We're not trying to play the rock star card. We do it because we love to do it, and it's the only way we could figure out how we could afford to do it. Is we don't have a sound engineer. We don't have roadies. We do it all ourselves. Me and my wife are the only two that drive the bus. So when we have to get somewhere and we have to drive till 4 in the morning, that's me. And then my wife wakes up at 7 in the morning to finish the rest of the drive. And then we all wake up, and we usually wind up going to get something to eat, and then we go to the club and load our own gear in. So it is very, very tasking, but it's also very rewarding because I would have never been able to go to Prague in the Czech Republic if it wasn't for Hemlock. I would have never, met people or gone places. We never would have been to Kerry King's house listening to Slayer albums with him in his kitchen on his laptop
Wow.
if it wasn't for Hemlock. I mean, these stories and all this stuff, because I've got friends that make way more money than me, but somehow they're still just as broke as me. So we
Right.
just figure out creative ways how to do things of what we love to do. And I like to call it ballers on a budget, so where maybe I need to do a Netflix special where we can do like our own road trips and our own stuff where we're ballers
Yeah.
on a budget and we make it happen. We load our own gear. We're not egotistical to where I'll jump out of the bus and go hand out flyers still after 32 years. We've had a couple of dudes fill in the band. They're like, "Oh, I'm not going to go hand out flyers. We don't do that. It's not my job. I'm not a promoter." And I'm like, it's called connecting with people and just being personable and talking to people and hanging out. But I've always been a people person. Even back when I was in school, I always was friends with this group of people or these friends and this and that, whatever. I enjoy life.
Yeah, that's how I am too. Like I'm always talking to someone or someone's talking to me, and it's funny because like the other guys on the other podcast that I'm on, they always ask me like, "How the hell do you know all these people?" I'm like, I don't know. I can't really explain it. It's just, and it's been like that ever since I was a little kid. Like
Yeah.
I'd go to the grocery store and everybody knew me. And it's just carried on throughout my whole life. And it's like I've had crazy experiences being like I was a ball boy for the Phoenix Suns when I lived in Phoenix before I moved to Las
Sweet.
Vegas, and
Yeah.
then growing up in Vegas, like you said, it's the entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah.
So
You
it's
can
like
run into people all
everybody.
over the place. But
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if people like me and you that are more outgoing or whatever it is, I don't know. I just wonder if maybe there's a different energy and you connect with people more or something, I don't know.
I think it is because, like, just out of nowhere, some random person will just like start talking to me, and probably happens to you too. Just out of nowhere, like, why the fuck did that guy just start talking to me? Like,
It's
but
usually me that's talking to other people because I'll go out and I'll be like, "Oh, it's a beautiful day out today." And they look at me, but part of that also goes back to our lyrics to where I like to try to, sometimes people might look at me and think I'm intimidating because I'm a big guy with long dreads and a big beard or whatever. But I like to go out of my way and say hi to people and just be extra happy and over the top. And our song "Nobody Knows What a Killer Looks Like" is talking about not prejudging
I actually have
somebody.
it queued up. I'd like to play it if you
Oh,
don't mind.
I didn't even know that. That was like the perfect
Yeah,
setup.
yeah, I know. I heard you talking, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a great segue into this song
Yeah.
here."
It's
So let
about
me.
not prejudging people by the way they look, that you never know who is gonna be the evil person killing people versus who's gonna be the guy that opens the door for you and says, "Oh, it's a beautiful day outside today." Like, you
Right?
never know. So the lyrics are really positive, but of course it has metal connotation where you're like, "Oh, yeah, nobody knows what a killer looks like." But the whole thing's about not judging a book by the cover.
Yeah. Well, let's check this song out, man.
Sweet.
Let me blow
Cool
it up here.
segue.
Yeah. Nobody knows what a killer looks like. Naive relaxing to their comfort zone, only to discover an old dimension bending fear. The end is near, the end is near. Blend right in, they're your friend, my friend. Past reality, creeping suddenly, sorrowful kind of pain. Blissful chain of thought, burns rust, mental rot, mortal tender clutch. Nobody knows, nobody knows what a killer looks like. Blistered chain of thought, burns rust, mental rot, mortal tender clutch. Looks so innocent, bloodhound, no regret. Cutting, blend right in. How can you tell who does what, when, why, and where? How
can you tell who does what, when, why, and where? Mass reality, creeping satellite, sorrowful canopy. Bliss or genocide, or transmental rot, mortal tender clots. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what a killer looks like. Nobody knows what a killer looks like! Nobody knows what a killer looks like!
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I love the groove metal, man. I love it.
Yeah. We started in 1993 in the heart of groove metal, and some people understand what groove metal means, but Biohazard, Pantera, Slayer, and Propane, and just all that era of the old Sepultura, all that stuff mixed into one, I love it.
I think I heard some 808s in there too.
Yeah, you got to drop them 808s, of
Hell
course.
yeah.
We love the good old hip hop and the rap, especially the 90s rap.
Let me pull this up so I can show everybody, because you guys are getting ready to go on tour here next week. So here's the dates all over Germany.
All right.
Yeah, that's going to be fun, huh?
I'm excited. It'll be our 8th time to Europe, but every time we go, I feel like a little kid winning the lottery. I'm like, I just want to go see some stuff, go see as much as we can, go meet people, But that's even with the American tours. I just love it. We played in Boise, we played up in Seattle, and we've already been to these places like 20 times, but this Europe tour, I think it's our 8th time, and every time I'm like, if we have a day off, let's go see this castle. Oh yeah, let's go to this bone church, and I'll look up things. So we went to the one in Kutna Hora, Czech Republic, where it looks like when you take like a thread and needle and you thread popcorn for your Christmas tree,
Okay.
but it's human skulls in the ceiling of the
shit.
church. It's insane. It's
Wow.
awesome. And I'm like, why in the world? I don't even know. I mean, it's different when you're over there. We went to the Paris catacombs, and I don't have I'm not like a crazy oddities person, but I do like the things like that, We went downstairs, and I think you go about 7 or 8 stories underneath Paris down this windy stair, and you're walking around this little corridor caves, and the signs are in French, and I don't know how to read French, but we're just kind of like going around, and then you turn this corner, and all of a sudden it's just these lines of bones and skulls, and then they take like skulls and they'll make like a heart shape of human skulls and like a cross and all the femurs and stuff. Like, this is so weird, because growing up in Vegas, you might go to Disneyland and you go to the Pirates of the Caribbean and you see the skulls, or you go to a haunted house and you might see like some bones or skulls, or I'm anything. Even the Indiana Jones at Disneyland ride, there's skulls everywhere, and it's just cool and it's epic. But these are real. When you're in Paris, and you're like, these were
different.
real people with eyes and brains and hearts and souls. And I was like, but it's not like graphic or gruesome or gory either, because it's not like you're disturbing a grave that has been like consecrated or blessed or whatever, because your skull might be here, and this is miles and miles of bones and skulls and feet and toes, but your feet might be 3 miles down in a different corridor. So it's not like it's your like place of rest. I mean, so it was really, really cool and epic, and then of course it says, do not touch. And you can see where all the skulls are shiny from people like touching them for good luck, or, tapping them or whatever. And they've got them like cemented in the wall.
Wow.
So, but the church decorated with skulls. I'm like, this is so cool. They call it the Bone Church. It's in Kutna Hora.
That's wild. So you guys are going to Germany next week, and
Yeah.
you got any states lined up after that, or?
No, we just got back from a Northwest tour. Actually, like a week and a half ago, we did the Northwest. We went up through Salt Lake and over to San Francisco. We did a rad canned food drive over there in Hayward, California, and got a bunch of food for the needy over there. And then from there, went up through Oregon, which was beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been to Oregon, but if you ever get a chance,
Never.
do the Oregon coast. It's epic. So beautiful.
Yeah, I've
And
always wanted to go to the Northwest, but never been. I think San Francisco, I think, is the farthest north I've been.
yeah, if you get up a little more north and you're going up the interstate, go to the Avenue of the Giants, and it's where they have the big tree that you can like drive underneath. Of course, our bus didn't fit, so we just walked underneath it. But and these huge redwood trees up there in the redwood forest, and just I mean, it's beautiful. And then we went all the way up into Seattle, and then we came back and around through like Spokane and State Line, Idaho, and then down through Idaho, and then back out. And then we wound up ending in Springfield, Missouri. But we did a rad show in Des Moines, which was awesome. That was really, really fun. And then and we did another Southwest tour in the spring. And then now we're doing Europe in the fall. So I'm going to hopefully work on another Vegas show and San Diego show in after the new year. And then I'm not sure if we're going to.
Arizona, don't forget, it's
Yeah.
right next door.
So we didn't hit Phoenix on our last spring tour, crazy enough, because Phoenix is always one of our have to go tos. It's a good spot. We always do really good. But we did hit Tucson and we hit Flagstaff
Where did
and
you play in Tucson?
at the Rock.
The Rock. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
We used to play the Rialto and the Rock and
The
Scrappy's.
Rialto Theater, yeah.
Yeah, we played there with
That's a
Soulfly.
great venue, man.
It's awesome. We played there once with Hatebreed and we played there once with Soulfly. It was awesome.
Yeah, I've seen Skid Row there.
Here we are on Skid Row again. I love it.
Yep, yep.
Sebastian.
Well, this is without Sebastian. Who
Well,
was
I'm
singing
just
with him at
saying
the time?
the songs were he still is probably the best vocalist that is from the 80s, like of all of it.
He really is, but it's a shame that he can't like keep his I don't know what the word is, that he just
Keep
can't
their
keep his shit
bickering.
together.
Keep,
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't know if you saw like 2 weeks or so ago, he threw some fan out of the show because she flipped him off or something. It's just like, dude, come on, man. And
uh,
that's part of the reason why they can't get back together, and I've talked to Scotty and Snake both
yeah,
about it,
yeah.
and it's just like they
He
don't
needs
want to
to
deal
check.
with it, you
That's a
know?
bummer. He needs to check his ego because if Sebastian came back and they did a full Skid, which I just saw that Poison is doing an all original reunion tour.
Yeah,
That's going to
next
be
year.
big.
Yeah.
But Skid Row, I think those songs and his voice and just everything, because they were one of the first big arena bands that took Pantera out on their first
Yeah.
arena
Oh,
tour.
yeah.
Like it was just a crazy transition from hair metal into Pantera, and without Pantera, none of us metalheads would be where we are. I mean,
Right.
that was that
I
for groove metal especially.
I love watching those old home videos of Panteras, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's just like the classic, you know, band diary, tour diary, like, it was
It
just so
it
cool.
because Dime was the one filming most of it, it made you feel like you were friends and you were right there with them in it all. You felt like you were in there destroying the hotel room with them, that you're like, "Yeah, get it," and you knew all the inside jokes and stuff. I mean, they were great videos. I love them.
I'm so glad that I got the chance to meet and hang out with Dime. He was sitting right behind me at a Iron Maiden concert, and
Awesome.
yeah, so got to hang out with him and Reed all night, and I mean, it was fucking cool. It was
That's epic.
Iron Maiden, Rob Halford, and Queensryche,
That is
and
a good lineup. That's awesome.
it was at the old Aladdin Theater before they demolished it.
In Vegas?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember when they demolished it down. That's awesome.
I was on the front page of the newspaper. Motley Crue was the last show there,
My
and
wife was there. Yeah.
it was a full-on riot after the show ended. And I remember people were like ripping this back when we had payphones. They were ripping payphones out of the wall, chairs out of the ground, toilets out of the ground. I mean, just anything you could. And so my buddy had lifted me up, and I grabbed like this section sign out of the ceiling. And as we walked out the door, the Las Vegas Sun was right there. Boop. And we were front page.
That's awesome. My
Yeah.
wife was at that show. It was before we were together, but she said it was funny and crazy, and I think she even wound up because some of the stuff they were telling you could take because they were gonna demolish the place anyways, but I think that it made metalheads extra hyper and crazy to start breaking things and taking
Yeah.
things, but I think my wife wound up with one of those, like, those poles on a platform, like a stanchion for a bank line or whatever. She's
Hmm.
like, "It was just dumb." Like, me and my friend, her they grabbed it and took it with them, and I'm like, "Why did you need that? You don't even have anything else to connect it to. It's just the one stanchion, you know." But it was just funny
Well, what
at
was
the Oli
cool is, like, the sign that I got, it was plastic, so when I had ripped it, the plastic, of course, broke, and it cut my hands all up, so it got blood all over the sign, like, it looks
so you're on the
cool.
front page with bloody hands.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's
But
rad. I never got a chance to meet Dime. We met Vinny a few times, and I met Phil. Phil was awesome, and but never got a chance to meet Dime. And I know, that everybody that says that they met him, it was like a blessing meeting him. That he was just over the top, down to earth, made you feel like a friend, and
yep.
just instantly, just a good dude.
I got pictures with a lot of people over the years, and I didn't even know that this picture existed until like 10 years later. Somebody was like, "Oh, I got a picture of you and Dime." I was like, "What? How the fuck? What?" and
Yeah. Why
and
you
so
holding out? Send it. Send
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, 10 years later, like, holy cow. And so I finally got to see the picture, and it's like one of my favoriteest pictures I've got. It's
Awesome.
actually it's in my intro
I
that I
saw it.
play.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
And
yeah. Of course.
Vinny's in there too.
Yep.
But we got to wrap this up here, man. You got anything you want to promote before we do?
Life is too short. Just enjoy it and live it and adventure it.
Well, everybody should go to hemlockworld.com, and there's all the tour dates. There's a bunch of videos on there. You do merch, like you said, you make all your own merch. This is awesome, man. We're actually getting ready to do our own t-shirt line here with Phone Booth
Sweet.
Productions. Yeah. So this was one of the first shirts that we
I
made.
love it.
But
I
I'm gonna do
love it.
some here's the
Wu-Tang.
thing shirts, and yeah. Um,
Wu-Tang. I
we
know
got
what you meant. You were saying to plug some stuff, but I didn't feel like plugging stuff, which I appreciate you doing because it's more important to do it. But I also got to stress the fact that people go around in life just miserable and stuck in a rut. And my goal with Hemlock, and it's kind of morphed over the years, is I want to try and help people smile and enjoy life.
Well, you definitely made me smile today, man, and I really appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your day to talk to me. And I wish you all the best, man. Have fun in Europe. Get Phoenix on your list so I can come check out a show.
I don't have Phoenix in the works yet, but we will definitely get it next year at some point. But if Vegas pops up before that, you come back to Vegas and let's go. Let's
I'd
go
love
see some
to.
old school, see some
Road
friends.
road trip.
Yeah, exactly. But no,
But
we love Phoenix. We love all the. I mean, Arizona always treated us good. Flagstaff was one of our most rad
I
shows
love
last
Flagstaff.
spring.
Oh,
Yeah, we play at
beautiful.
the Orpheum Theater up there. That's a great theater too. It's a good spot.
Yeah. Well,
But
thank you again, man. And don't hang up, and we'll talk after this
no, I
this ends here.
appreciate you letting me ramble. It's good to talk to you,
Oh
brother.
yeah. Thank you, Chad.
Thank
Talk,
you.
talk to you later.